I was just listening to that classic gaming podcast, like an older episode of it today, and they were talking about Devil May Cry 3, and I didn't know that apparently in the like North America got the harder version of that game for whatever weird reason. Like, it seems odd to happen outside of the era of renting video games. Maybe
was it outside?
rentals still happen.
Yeah.
Like there probably were still rentals like to some degree, like GameFly and stuff like that was around, obviously.
I mean,
yeah, but it would have been the third one on PS2 even. Though.
Redbox did games?
Yeah.
They did a few, yeah. They would have the big releases, yeah. Is Redbox even a thing anymore?
No. They've been bankrupt
crazy.
For a minute.
They were everywhere.
But I knew people who would
really
play
everywhere.
like Call of Duty campaign through Redbox because they didn't want to buy.
You know?
That'd be the way to do it, yeah.
That's a great idea. Something like that. That's a genius idea.
Actually, yeah, if you're into like I like the single player campaigns of these like kind of games that bank on you playing the multiplayer.
Blow through it in a day or two easily.
Yeah,
I mean, here you go.
even Halo or something. You know, you could easily do that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, welcome to Pursuing Pixels. My name's Kevin Portelli, and I'm here tonight with John Hines.
Hey there.
And Randall Nolery.
Hey, folks.
And we are back, as always, to talk about some video games. I feel like it's a little bit of a momentous occasion, this recording session, guys. If there's a first recording session after Randall and John have met in the flesh.
That's right, baby.
So John took a trip out to Seattle.
We all now know what our whole bodies look like. Not just our torso and up.
Yes.
No, but I love it. I think, John, you were out in the Pacific Northwest visiting, I think, some family first, and then got to spend some time out with Randall and Tina and Fiona, and, you know, obviously doing some hanging beyond just playing some games. But, just feels cool that we've all, I guess, you know, not all met together. We got to make that happen at some point. But, but one of these days. But I don't know. It just feels cool that you guys have finally actually met in person now.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, did you guys have a good time? Obviously, I know we already kind of talked about this, but
oh yeah,
it was a
good trip.
A wonderful.
Got to look at some real sicko games, some Sega Saturn stuff, some old PC stuff.
Yeah. We were kind of jealous. The throes of on rails shooter discussions that we've been talking about on the podcast. So yes, I leapt at the chance to play Panzer Dragoon Zwei on original Saturn hardware, and boy howdy, that's a good setup you got over there, Randall. You put
baby.
Put in the effort to make it run real nice.
I know
that 4K scaling, and got to use the 3D control pad to play it that way. We even the second go around figured out how to get it into the widescreen mode it supports and all that fun stuff.
Nice.
Yeah. No, it looked.
I didn't even know that was a thing on Saturn.
It did.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
and we're getting off topic, but that's good because we get to talk about. I don't know. It's got cool camera angle stuff, like really cinematic stuff, but also
very much so.
Very difficult levels that I don't think I made it past the second. It was.
Yeah, those games are tough. Those games are tough.
Mm-hmm. But there's like a sense of the cinema, like the art direction of it all. And like the soundtracks are always fucking awesome on the Panzer Dragoon games too.
Yeah, there's just something that you can do with like when a game is on rails that you can make it just like a little bit more cinematic, just
absolutely.
Knowing like how everything's gonna be framed and whatnot. Although you don't know exactly because that's almost what makes it more cinematic in the Panzer Dragoon games because you can like pan that camera at like the 90-degree angles and like, oh shit, I can see this like giant monster chasing me from behind that I didn't even know was there before. Like that's what I think is so cool and like sets that game apart from like. Or series apart, I guess, from like, Star Fox or other games in the same vein.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You see a couple of bogeys on your tail coming from behind on your map screen. You just flip around that trigger a couple of times. You're looking behind you now, do a little lock-on action, see if there's anything up on the cliff sides you have to worry about.
Yeah.
Got that awesome soundtrack just kind of going around you. It's good.
It's that old school level design of like you have to memorize kind of where the enemy placement is, because there were some times where I was just like, I can figure this out on the fly, and then just completely eat it in the middle of a stage.
Yeah, when they're coming from 360 degrees for sure.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm jealous you got to get your little hands-on experience with that setup. Yeah, because it's obviously we've been hearing about it for a while, but I've been wanting to lay my eyes on that as well. But glad you guys had a good time. Yeah. Glad you guys had a good time hanging though. But like as always, we got plenty of video games to talk about. So John, why don't you take us away here to get things rolling?
Sure thing. I've been playing a lot of the early 2000s Nippon Ichi Software slew of games around the Disgaea era. So I had actually started with Phantom Brave, which I didn't realize was a later in the series after the first two Disgaea games. But they're kind of, if you aren't familiar with them, these tactics job games, like in the Final Fantasy Tactics sort of oeuvre, or like schematics of you have, your main characters, and then you have a bunch of kind of randomly generated characters that can switch jobs, learn skills, and then you are basically just trying to get through these skill trees or trying to have them learn new things, and then build these customized classes or characters exactly as you see fit. And it was really interesting because I hadn't played any of these games when they came out. I didn't have a PlayStation 2 growing up, so I mostly just heard about them or would see people talk about them in magazines, which is how I typically vicariously lived a lot of these, like the Dreamcast era, the PlayStation era, the Xbox era. I was a Nintendo family through and through, so I never got to play these games when they came out. But it was really interesting to go back and see yes, this is exactly what my bullshit is in terms of an incredibly customizable RPG tactics game where you are. It is also a lot of stripping down these types of games to their bare mechanics. That's what Nippon Ichi Software does really well, where it is kind of the dungeon encounters formula of that Square Enix game, where it's really all you want is just numbers and item descriptions. That's all you really care about. And this is going straight to the heart of that, where you have a area that you can walk around in, that you get all of your items in, you get all of your quests in, and then you get the ever increasing complexity systems of an RPG of that era. But in Disgaea, it's a very goofy, tongue-in-cheek, you're one of many devils in the underworld multiverse, and you at some point you need to go to the Dark Assembly, which is a court where you are convincing other demons to allow you to get more items in the item shop, or to unlock a new class, but you have to bribe the demons with their items of choice, or sometimes the demons are drunk, and so then you can't anticipate how they're going to vote in the assembly.
Amazing.
So the first game of this series I ever played was Disgaea 5, because I was very hard up for games on the Switch when it came out.
Yeah, it was close to launch.
Yeah,
I remember that.
And back when I was this was the thing that reminded me when you guys were kind of talking about, some of the hiccups with the Switch 2, where I remember playing Disgaea 5 on my original Switch and having it frequently overheat and shut itself down. It was a regular thing of this system is not optimized or running and any I don't know.
Yeah, this game is crunching too many numbers right now for this game to handle.
But it's not like it was an original Switch game, too, so it was already an old game by the time it got ported over to the Switch. But also, it was my first Disgaea game, and it was so full of systems, and I didn't understand any of them, and it was so complex. So what I wanted to do after I had played Phantom Brave for a little bit, which is less of a like grid based, and it's more of that like Valkyria Chronicles like you have, or XCOM sort of thing where you can move anywhere and it's kind of just like a distance. And I typically prefer more like grid based tactics games where you have like a cell that you're moving your character on in a grid. But I played Disgaea 1 for a fair amount of time, and then I realized that it was just too rough of a game. Like it had a lot of really interesting ideas, but I've done this dance where I've been playing a lot of old games and like seeing which systems and quality of life things like just don't exist in older titles. And I like, after a couple hours of playing Disgaea, I said, you know what? I'm pretty sure they will have added some better systems in Disgaea 2. And that's exactly what they did. It's just a little bit easier to maneuver. It's a little bit more like, I don't know, it's comfortable or smooth. Like they've just ironed out some of the kinks, but I like looked into Disgaea 3 and what they added there, and I was like, okay, this might be the sweet spot where I need to hang out for a minute. So I've been playing 2 for a long time, and I don't know when I'll ever get any more complex, but it's been hitting the right buttons for me right now, which is, you know, I like a game where you can kind of just replay over and over again, and this is absolutely a series that is built to be played almost infinitely. Like the item dungeons, which you go into the items that you have to level the items up, but the dungeons themselves are completely randomly generated. Ooh. Sometimes to the point where they are impossible.
Okay. I kind of love that though. Just what, like it could throw anything at you. I think there's some appeal there in my Toe Jam and Earl style brain. I kind of like that in a sicko way.
They're built to be endlessly playable, and they're built around. It's like, okay, well, you love just leveling up, right? So what if you could level up 1,000 times? And what if you could
keep going up?
Yeah, and then you can reincarnate, and then you can do it all over again, but with better base stats. And it's really a game series built around the idea of like, well, you just like doing the gameplay, right? Like, what if we
like grinding?
Yeah, what if we built a system that allows you to do that forever? And like they explicitly tell you right at the beginning of the game, it's like, it is not necessary to engage with all of these systems in order to beat this game. Like, you can just move ahead, play it normally, which is what I was doing back when I was playing 5. But now that I'm, playing 2 as it's intended, I'm like, no, I want to see what all the systems do. And I still don't understand all of them. I'm still not playing optimally, but guess what? I can play suboptimally for 100 or 300 hours.
Like, are you still playing Fantasy Life I, which is also a heavy systems-based game, while you're playing this heavy systems-based game too?
Jobs-based game.
I think we'll bounce back to that later on in the episode. But yes, the short answer is yes.
And you have to be playing Disgaea 2 on Steam Deck. This just screams Steam Deck.
It is so it is the ideal Steam Deck game for me, because I've since building the computer, I've been playing the more high intense or demanding games on that, and then when it's time to go to bed, I just take the Steam Deck now into bed and I play Disgaea for however many hours where I'm just basically doing the same maps over and over again so that I can get my acolyte to use their heal spell enough that levels up so that when it reincarnates, then it'll get that down to a high enough level because the reincarnation skill retention rate isn't as high because I don't have a high enough mana. It's all stupid. It's all dumb. It's all unnecessary, but it tickles the part of my brain that needs to be tickled right now. So that's what I'm doing.
Totally get it. Yes, and brainless in a beautiful way. It sounds like
absolutely.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah,
that's worthwhile.
That's awesome. And honestly, a lot of the stuff you're describing, we were talking about it before. Randall, our coworker back at Best Buy, like what you're describing, just like grinding and leveling up infinitely. Like that's exactly what he would talk to me about. Just like, oh man, it's like endless. So that's like hilarious. It was all coming back to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I at some point in time, I believed that this was a series that I could get into, and I definitely think it is most certainly not for me.
Not a chance.
Yeah, nothing against it at all, but it's like, okay, that's definitely not for me.
No.
But yeah, just totally off to another territory, but kind of a territory that's also somewhat not for me. You know, I've talked about on the podcast a ton of times that I'm not the biggest Metroidvania fan in the world, or even the biggest Metroid fan in the world. Like I kind of like Metroid in principle more than I like it. And like I like the theming of it and like the style and like everything about it, but then like when it comes to the gameplay, I'm not always as on board. Like even Super Metroid, you know, that people put up as like one of the best Super Nintendo games, if not the best games ever made. You know, to me, I've played a good chunk of it, and I don't not like it, but I don't love it. You know, the controls are a little floaty. The way your jumps like just sky high. I don't know. I just don't love the way it feels, even though I like a lot about it. But that said, I picked up recently Metroid Samus Returns on 3DS. I've scooped up just a handful of games on, physical copies on 3DS over the last handful of months. And I've been digging out that system as of late. I actually played through almost all of Bye Bye Box Boy recently, just kind of randomly, I just want to play like a simple, not too taxing puzzle platformer. Totally. And then in the meantime, as I've been playing that, I was like, you know what cartridge do I want to put in the system to like really kind of keep going in the background as like my main game?
Yep.
And I popped in a few different things that many things that I didn't even boot up. Like I put in Chrono Trigger DS for a minute. I was like, I'm kind of in the mood to play like Chrono Trigger or Earthbound, two games that I've never played before, really, other than a tiny bit of the intro of Chrono Trigger and Earthbound, I guess, both of them.
That DS version is real nice, by the way.
I've heard, yeah. That's why I was looking up. I was like, yeah, people say this is a good one, because I know the PlayStation version is not good, like really long load times and stuff like that. So I was like double checking, like, okay, yeah, people say this one's good. Basically same deal as the Super Nintendo version, without too much tweaked.
And you get the cutscenes without the loads.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I didn't know. So it has like the PlayStation cutscenes, but just
best of my recollection, it's got that stuff.
Okay, that's cool. And it even came with like the CD soundtrack that I still have floating around somewhere.
Nice.
But nonetheless, I like ended up swapping out a few different cartridges that I never ended up actually booting up. But I was like, you know what? I did grab that Metroid Samus Returns recently, so let me put that in. And I ended up firing it up for a little bit. And like my first session, I played probably about an hour. Then the next session, played another hour.
Nice.
Then the next session, I would like my time in the game, like on my save file, I think shows like 3 hours, 40 minutes. But I think it, like if you die and then it brings you back to a checkpoint, I think it like doesn't count that time, if I'm not mistaken. Because there are times where I'm like, I know I played for like an hour and it only shows it added like 30 minutes because, I died and then reset it or whatever. So I think I've probably played about 5 hours or so. I just cleared Area 2 and made it to Area 3. And that's one thing that I'm really kind of liking about this game so far is like there's obviously a little bit of that Metroidvania backtracking and exploration, but it's kind of laid out so far from what I can tell a little bit more in like the Gato Roboto style of like you just like here's one chunk of area that's kind of like a mini Metroidvania.
Yeah.
And then you go explore that and then you clear that area and then you move on to the next area. And then it's like, okay, there's 8 Metroids you got to find in this area and kill. And then once you find all those, then you move on to Area 3, and now there's even more in this area, and it's like they're getting bigger and bigger as they go. But it's like kind of broken up into smaller chunks. Now, that said, it does seem like in area 1 and 2 that I've like quote unquote cleared. There's definitely been a couple things that I'm like, I'm definitely going to be able to go back and get that little thing or do that. And I don't know if that's going to be just little goodies and, collectibles, or if those are actual, things that I'm going to need for later gameplay elements or whatever, or to progress in the game. But it seems like, best I can tell, for the most part, I'm just going to keep moving ahead and clearing one area at a time, getting all the Metroids, and then getting the DNA, depositing them in the little like bank or whatever, and then it kind of clears like the liquid plasma pool or whatever lower, so that you can explore deeper into the depths of this planet. And I'm really having a good time so far. Like, I have definitely some gripes with the game, even though I like gameplay wise, I would say I like it more than any of the other 2D Metroid games that I've played. Apart from the fact that as much as I like the kind of like countering parry melee thing, it just gets a little repetitive. Like, every enemy you just kind of have to like stop and wait for them to do their attack and like flash for a second so that you can parry them and then blast them. And then, because like if you successfully do the parry, then your next shot basically will one kill the enemy if you don't move. If you like happen to move or something after that, then it like cancels your charge shot or whatever, and then you just have to blast them like a million fucking times. Like, it actually, like, some of the enemies, like even like the little popcorn enemies, have like pretty high health. Now I just unlocked the wave beam, and I'm a little stronger, so it's like I'm getting to the point where I'm not as, for certain enemies, I'm like, okay, I don't have to counter this one. I can just blast it like 3 times or do a charge shot and wipe it out or whatever. But the gameplay, a little bit of backtracking, and it's getting a little bit repetitive, but the backtracking is like alleviated a little bit by the sections being broken up into smaller chunks. But so far I've only had to look up one thing, and I didn't even actually find the answer. I was just like, man, I don't know where to go, and I'm getting stuck, and I'm worried I'm going to get to that point. Like what I said before we started recording, I was like, I was on the fence between talking about a handful of different games, and it was like, Metroid, I'm like planning on continuing playing, but if I get stuck with all these Metroidvanias, like I said at the top, I just can sometimes lose momentum and just never end up seeing them through. But with this one, because again, with the way it's broken up into chunks, it's like I can kind of just keep progressing. But I had one Metroid left in this area, and I was like, I don't want to get hung up, because the last time I played, I couldn't figure out how to get over here. And then I found out, okay, there's a spring ball power-up I need to find. And I just like vaguely read what area of the map it was in. And I was like, okay, that's enough, and I'll find it for myself. And I eventually did a little more exploring, found the boss I had to beat, some kind of like turtle enemy or whatever, got the new spring morph ball, so I can now essentially jump when I'm in morph ball mode.
Nice.
But there's just like a lot of little like quality of life stuff. Like, I've never played the original Game Boy game that this is based on, but it's really like fleshing things out to a much larger degree. I feel like I think they're taking some of the same core ideas there, but like, and John, you've I think talked about this game on the podcast before too, but they're really just kind of like opening things up, making it like a more modern Metroid game essentially, but like with still having like the same core like heart or like the DNA of what that original game had. No pun intended.
Spider Ball main.
Yeah. Oh, Spider Ball is so good.
Yeah.
Like
Spider Ball is so good, but playing on the 3DS, I will say, which I talked about, I think I can't even remember what game I talked about that I played on the 3DS last. I think Star Fox 64 3D. But like it is, even on the new, I'm playing on the new 3DS, and it just gets really crampy to hold that, like, because you got to like hold the circle pad. You got to put a little more pressure on that than you would normally on like a regular old D-pad. And then you got to hold down the L, and you're just kind of like cramping and holding down the R at the same time when you want to shoot missiles. And it's like there's times when you really have to spider ball like across like the entire upper wall, like up the wall of like a giant room, and then across the whole ceiling to get to the other side. And it's like, man, this is starting to hurt. Like I'm gonna be really pissed if my hand slips off the. Because like in your head you're thinking, oh, I'm playing like a retro game. I can just rewind like I'm playing on Switch or whatever. And it's like, oh no, but I'm not. I'm playing a modern game that I have to worry about. I can't just pick up right where I left off or whatever and rewind or save state or whatever.
Yeah, there's a late game boss in Samus Returns that like is probably my least favorite boss in the entire series, just in terms of like sheer difficulty. Like the ending of Dread is still probably technically more difficult.
I was just going to ask about that comparison because Dread's boss is holy crap.
Yeah.
But like the end boss of Dread, I can kind of forgive because it's the last boss.
Yeah.
Whereas like this one is like one of the last bosses in Samus Returns, but it's still just like, oh God, it's the main thing that's keeping me from like replaying it, which is a bummer because I really love it. But like, Kevin, did you play Dread at all?
Just a little bit. Like I probably played like at the most 2 hours, I would guess, probably closer to an hour, but I definitely dug it and was just kind of like, I'll play it when I'm in the right mood for it kind of thing, you know?
And I feel like the way that it handles kind of the aiming that Samus Returns like introduced, I think is a lot smoother and like just by nature being like a controller instead of a handheld. The Pro controller is so much better than playing on a 3DS.
Right.
Like,
but I do love that like 360 aiming.
It's
and like
really good.
Like freezing and like, you know, holding down the L to like lock yourself in place, and like you got the like laser beam sight to see exactly where you're aiming. Like it's really, really satisfying. All the like jumping and like clinging to the corner of a wall, especially when you like cling to the corner and then there's just like a little like tunnel that you can morph ball through. So like you grab the ledge and then like scurry up into a morph ball and then go through the tunnel.
That does
but then
feel
like
good.
Like putting on like where you hit up on the D-pad and then you can press A to just scan, and then it shows you all the spots that might be destructible in one way, shape, or form, and like just little stuff like that makes the game like a little bit less tedious. Like instead of me just running around and bombing everything in sight, like I can actually just run around and scan everything in sight. I guess it's not that different, but you can do it so much faster than you would if you had to sit there and actually try to shoot and trigger every little thing to see if there might be a invisible wall that you can bomb. It's like, oh, I can just go in this room, scan, okay, nothing here. And it like stays active for a while. So you can like hit the button, run around and pretty much scope out a whole room and be, okay, there's nothing here that I haven't found or that I haven't already discovered yet. And I can move on and cross it off my list. Now, the couple small, like the mini map on the bottom, I really wish you could zoom in. Like the little icons are so fucking small. I'm like, what is that? Now I'm starting to finally learn what they are now that I made it a little further into the game. I'm like, okay, that's what I'm looking for. That's the
And now that you know what the language is, you can extrapolate that to every other Metroid game, and it's a learned language.
Yeah, and it too, like the 3D effect, and obviously it's a 2D gameplay game. The gameplay's in 2D, but like it's 2.5D. All the assets are 3D. But like the depth, cranking the 3D effect all the way up, this game looks awesome. Yeah, like it looks so cool. Even like right on the title screen when you like pick start game or continue or whatever, and it goes from whatever screen it's on, and I think it's like kind of like it's kind of like this view of like just like a planet or something, and then like when you press like start game or press any button or whatever, and then it zooms out to the options you have, it like kind of zooms out to show like you're still looking at that planet, but then it's like just Samus like sitting in the cockpit looking out the window at the planet, and you're like, this is so fucking cool.
Yeah.
And the 3D effect is just awesome. It might be like the coolest looking 3D effect that I've seen on the 3DS, which is kind of funny that it's in a game that's like essentially not in 3D. But it just looks awesome. I love the 3D. Like it adds so much to the game. I don't know how to explain it, but even like I was watching a video actually that I didn't finish because I was like, I don't want it to spoil anything, but it was comparing Metroid 2 on Game Boy versus another Metroid 2 remake versus Metroid Samus Returns. It's like an hour and 15 minute long video. And I watched like the first like 20, 30 minutes of it. And then they started saying they were like, Area 3 is the largest and most like frustrating part of the game. And I was like, no, that's the part I just got to. I was like, this is going to talk me out of playing the game. So I was like, I'm going to stop the video and I'll maybe watch, because it was not like the most interesting thing ever, but it was just kind of interesting to see all the different comparisons and like changes to the game.
Send me that video. I definitely want to watch that.
I got to find it. Yeah, it should be in my like recently watched. So
because I was just thinking about like how specifically Metroid 2, AM2R, and Samus Returns are all like really interesting like games in themselves, even though they're all technically like the same game. Whereas like Metroid 2 does like, it was the Game Boy Color, but like
Game Boy
kind
regular.
of reinvented, or like it was the sequel to Metroid, so it was like kind of building out what this series was and was going to be. And then AM2R like spun off into Ori and like DMCA hell. But then like the way that Samus Returns was really the like blueprint for what Dread would eventually become. And they're all just like really fascinating games on their own rights.
Yeah, this is making me really want to play Dread more as well. But it's also making me want to like just stick with what I'm playing right now. Don't do my usual thing where I'm like, oh, I got to play something else that's interesting now that I've got a little taste of this. It's like, no, this is like, there's still plenty of cool stuff to be had in this game. And I am glad that I saw some of that video though, because they showed nothing spoilery, but they just showed some clips of like later sections in the game. And even just seeing like little backgrounds of like, oh, that part of the world looks really cool. Like I don't know if they were trees or like these fungus mushroom things, but they were like these pink evergreen looking trees. I was like, man, that just looks so cool. Like I want to explore that section of the map, you know.
World design in every Metroid game is just gorgeous and so interesting.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah, that added layer of depth just really does a lot for me on this one. I don't know why, but it's really cool. You could just tell they poured a lot of love into this game. But that video is really cool, John. They go into like even comparing like, you know, in the original, the gameplay area is like roughly 4 Samuses high and 7 Samuses wide. In another Metroid 2, it's, you know, you get way more gameplay real estate. It's actually interesting because the 3DS one, it like zooms things back in. That's one thing that's like a little frustrating when you're like going through a vertical section. It's like I'm trying to like just jump up to this higher platform and then I get attacked by an enemy that like I couldn't even see on screen. But you don't take, it's easy enough to just like take a hit and then mow the enemy down and then pick up a bunch of health pickups and you're fine. But the bosses do deal some heavy damage. Like they hit you and they do like, 80 points of damage or something. You go in with like 3 or 4 tanks full of health and all of a sudden you're like, man, I thought I had this boss battle in the bag and not so much.
You should see this through and then play Dread not too much afterwards. I think it would do you quite well for that to be the case.
I know. The sad thing is I've been like, oh, maybe I should boot up Prime in the background. I'm like, no. Just stick with one Metroid at a time. There's no way I'm going to keep 2 Metroid maps in my head at once.
Yeah.
So let's just do one at a time here. But Randall, why don't we kick it over to you here to wrap things up for the evening?
Speaking of multiple things at once,
I know I almost made the transition for you, but I was like, I don't want to steal your thunder.
I have a multi-layered transition because it's multiple things at once, and it's Metroidvania because I'm playing right now 4 primary games at the same time for some reason. I don't know why, because I've got so much free time, I guess.
Yes.
I don't know. But in a way, it kind of like I've got an effective quick resume mode across these games because you could just leave the cartridge or whatever disc in and the controller plugged in, and then you just go over and you turn the thing on. But so 4 different ones. I'm still playing Castlevania Aria of Sorrow on GBA with Analog Pocket, and every time we go on some sort of cabining or camping excursion, it's always my excuse of like, okay, what early to mid-aughts Metroidvania game am I going to try to complete here? It's just there's something that just melds the themes for me there. I don't know what it is. They're just like just laid back enough, and there's so many good portable games that kind of fit the bill from that time. That I'm like, let's, and I had been playing Aria of Sorrow previously from a previous trip, and I'm like, I don't want to drop that game. It's so good. And I'd gotten stuck on a boss, but I've uncovered, oh God, it has to be, I didn't look at percentages, but it's definitely over half of the map quite easily. If not
nice,
more like 70%. But got stuck on this boss, but again, another game where grinding doesn't bother me whatsoever. In fact, it's kind of encouraged with the whole Souls system to like grind this one enemy that you found on this one, screen over and over again. Just like, okay, defeat it. Nope, it didn't drop the soul thing. All right, leave the screen, come back again. It repopulates. Hit. Okay. You're both gaining experience and the opportunity to roll the dice, as it were, for, getting that soul. So it, feels good to play just in general, but there's like a 3-layered monster there for the sake of just kind of grinding mindlessly. So I kind of just did that until I gained enough levels where I could just kind of cheese the boss enough to survive. And keep on and get the latest whatever power it was. Oh, it was the ability to go underwater, walk underwater. Yeah. So that's where I'm at in Aria of Sorrow, and that's just a whale of a game. That one. It's a quality Metroidvania experience there. Still chipping away. Thank you, Analog Pocket.
Are you like pretty much strictly playing that one like handheld on the Pocket, or okay, nice.
Yeah, I don't even think I've tried to play it docked, to be honest. I think it's all just on the Pocket. How do you say that?
Heck yeah, that's awesome.
It feels the right way to do it. Like
it does.
It feels like a good handheld game.
It really does, but not in any way that's compromised. Like it's so good, man. GBA was
sometimes
awesome.
Just. There are sometimes too where you're just because like playing like the GBA games on Switch or whatever, like sometimes just playing like a handheld game on a TV and it just like it loses something for whatever reason. It just does, It's
especially
just like this is not the home it was meant.
Yeah.
This isn't where it was meant to be played. It's meant to be played while I'm like almost doing something else.
It's meant to be played in a different location other than your home.
Yeah, well, I'm camping or something. Exactly, yeah.
Because I've got a Switch. Like, I had the Switch 2 at that point. I could have brought that. But then I'm just, I'm compromised by... I'm just going to turn on some dumb shit if I had brought one of those things. I'll just turn on, like, a 2K or some other, like, thing that I'm going to touch a little bit and not get anywhere in any meaningful way and have wasted my time at best, right?
Yeah.
So instead... I want to beat this game. I'm going to do so. Just like that's how we were just talking about Metroid. That's how I beat Fusion and Zero Mission and talked about those on this podcast. That's one. That's just one game. I'm still playing the Indiana Jones game on Xbox, The Great Circle. Another great kind of sort of mindless, but like I said before, kind of sort of Nathan Drake-y kind of experience game here. And yeah, that game, like, I don't know. It's just like, it keeps me coming back. Like, they just announced a DLC for that too. So I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like, I'm still kind of engaged with this game, as kind of my primary Xbox thing. And, you find these books that unlock other abilities for Indiana along the way. And I'm like getting my combat better. And I've got this whip ability that like you can whip and take the weapon off of an enemy or, whip them and then you stun them and then you do more damage after you do that. And like you only unlock the abilities in the books by taking enough pictures that you have got enough points to unlock those books. But then you're getting the money to buy those books. Typically, if you're not finding them in the wild, you're getting the money in the wild, either, stealing the money off of guards in their guard tents or, doing different things like that. It's just fun AAA thing still happening. Good stuff.
Heck yeah. And it's fun to just play a game that has those kind of production values. I think we talked about that last time too, but like just a game that's like, I remember that game looking awesome even on that Xbox One. Yeah. And it's like, it's just fun to play a game that's like, man, this just looks amazing. I'm in for the ride,
Yeah. I mean, like there's the cool, like fire and lava sections in like one of the areas I was in when you have to go in another tomb sort of thing. And, oh, here's another character that I think I'm supposed to know from one of the movies, but I don't, but it's still kind of fun anyway.
Nice.
Yeah, it's good stuff. And then Fiona's like, hey, I want to play like I want to watch you play a game, Daddy. And like, we would play a Mario or something or a Luigi. I was like, and she's like, oh, what about like a Luigi's Mansion? I'm like, I don't know, Luigi's Mansion. Is that too spooky? Maybe not. I don't know. It's kind of goofy enough that maybe it offsets that. So I'm like, you know what? Sure. Like I've got all the retro stuff set up here. Let's open up the GameCube. Let's put Luigi's Mansion in. Like, nice. Definitely, at GameCube launch, not a game that I bought because the reviews were not great at that time, but bought it later down the road when enough other people are like, no, actually, this game's cool. It's just different than what people expected because it wasn't a Mario platformer. And I'm now actually like earnestly playing the first Luigi's Mansion. I'd played quite a bit of Dark Moon, speaking of 3DS, back before. But I like this game. It's fun. It's cute, and you can press the A button. He goes, Mario. And it's just like you're knocking on everything. And it's just like this big interactive set pieces of, knocking on dresser drawers to get little MacGuffin coins and, little mice that are ghosts will pop out and stuff. And you got to suck them up with your vacuum and your little yellow C-stick nub and stuff. And the analog triggers feel quite good in that game.
They do. Yeah. They do.
Do they have like that like pressure sensitivity of like, it does something when you only engage it a little bit or
yeah, it feels that way anyway. And it feels really good. There's like a little bit of a feedback feeling just from the how much analog you're kind of pushing for your vacuum.
There's something just tangible about that feedback that you get from those triggers or those shoulder buttons or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, now that you say that, I'm using one of the newer produced GameCube controllers that I think Nintendo produced back in the Wii U era that have 10-foot cables because they released that GameCube adapter for the Smash Brothers that came out on that platform, right? So,
that's nice because those cables were really short on those original GameCube controllers. I forgot about that.
I haven't forgotten because every time I bust open the GameCube, I am sitting on the edge of the couch.
I forgot because I bought extension cables for all my old retro systems. I bought extension cables for at least for Super Nintendo and GameCube.
Yep,
for sure.
I've been on that track as well. Like extension cables. Whenever I see them, like, did I get one of these or two of these yet? I don't know. Let's grab another because you can't have enough of these.
You never know what the size of the room you're going to have it hooked up in, and it's just like I want to be able to sit on the couch and play the game wherever I'm at. So
yes. But having a blast actually with Luigi's Mansion, and Fiona keeps wanting to come back to it, and it's just cool to be like, oh, look at that in the corner. We didn't explore that over there. Like, even just make sure you vacuum up all the spider webs in the corners and stuff and whatever else. And it unlocked this door over here, and it basically is like a Resident Evil for kids kind of thing.
But, that's another one of those games. It's like couch co-op. You can play. It's single player, but you can be like, do this. Yeah, try. It's almost like a point and click adventure too, in a way, like the way the game kind of unfolds the story and stuff.
So I'm definitely, again, going to be playing quite a bit more of that.
Heck yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Enjoying just the excuse to do that. I think they remade that, re-released it at the very least, didn't they, with the 3 engine on Switch? Maybe I don't know. Maybe
they remade. They remade 2. There's Luigi's Mansion. Maybe that's 2 what I'm HD. Thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah, and the old Game Boy horror. It's good stuff. But then I'm still playing my resolution game, Yakuza 0 Director's Cut on Switch 2. That is that's the primary thing that I'm playing. And I've just been... I talked it up the last time on the pod, and I've only gotten more sucked in, I think, even since then, as the games open up to me in the Chapter 2. But again, the way I play these games, I'm just fucking around. I'm just like doing whatever I want to do at any point. And Yakuza's like, yeah, you should just fuck around. Like, don't worry about it, man. Just like walk around, and then like other cutscenes just start. And then I'm talking to some guy who's like needs me to tell a password to another person or something, or I need to help like a dominatrix with their learn how to be a dominatrix.
There are so many walks of life, and Kiryu knows nothing of them. It's incredible.
Yeah, I loved with like that password side quest where like he figures the password out. after like this very arduous process of like going across town and like trying to like tell them this.
Oh, does he go to a place and have to beat up a bunch of people?
Yes, he sure does.
That's amazing.
He's good at that. That's kind of his whole thing is he talks with his fists. Other says like a lot. He's the man. I can see why you have an affinity for him. Yes. Oh. But he's like, he goes through all this arduous process with like, let me tell you these like very cryptic words, person that I was supposed to talk to, because I talked to this first guy who's, shady in like this back alley or whatever, and I go across town and I tell this lady these secret codes, and then she gives me other codes, and I come back and then I have to like type in a very long code, and thank goodness you can just take a screenshot on Switch, because that probably wasn't fun on an original platform. You probably had to like take a picture with your phone, or just literally write it down, or if you're a real sicko, remember it. But my brain doesn't work that way, not with that many letters. But he completes that, and then he's just like, yes, I got the code. And he's just like starts walking away, even though like it's already been established that the code is just the starting point so you could buy cool, rare things from this character. But he's just like, I'm just so psyched that I knew what the code was, and that's it for me. And like, don't you want to buy something, man? He's like, oh yeah. Okay. So he turns back around. Is like, yeah, sure, I'll buy something. But that gets into like these slot car parts and stuff. I haven't done anything with the slot cars yet. I've gone to the million yen machines.
Understand. There's so many mechanics. There's so many things.
Oh, I could tell, because there's like these multiple inventory layers, and one of them is very much dedicated to slot car parts. And I've done nothing with this besides get random ones from the 1,000,000 or 10,000 or 100,000 yen machines.
Yep.
And I'm going to do that every time I see one, because that's just me. And I can tell it like a counter is going up every time I interact with anything, really. If I'm talking to people, if I'm using one of those machines, it gives me another CP point if I get to a certain threshold. And then you turn those points into, kind of buffs, ongoing buffs in the game, like doing more damage, or the big scary guy gives you more money if you've unlocked enough things. And I'm too afraid to fight him. He's very big. He's going to take all my money.
No, sorry. I don't know how to counter. So no, I'm not going to ever be able to fight that guy.
Yes. And even like one of the other side quests, it's all side stories. Like I said, I'm not fucking around. I'm still stuck in chapter 2. But like a side story in the parking lot where like this random drunk guy is going to teach me about fighting in the rush style, which is like way more like a light character in a game, sort of like very fast, like jab, jab, jab.
Okay.
Pull back away, juke, juke, come in, jab, 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 which, me, I like the big, dumb, like grapply characters typically. I'm not Mr. Fast, lightweight, jab, jab, jab. So at first I wasn't like that into this fighting style, but then this specific side story was all about like, hey, I'm going to teach you more abilities with this. And what you need to do is avoid just getting hit for a minute, and I'll start telling you things. And I failed that like so many times until I didn't. But then I did, and then I try to go back, because he's like, all right, that was just round 1. I teach you this like secret ability. I'll teach you more secret abilities. But then he's like, you didn't unlock enough of this rush combat style tree. Each combat style has its own tree of like unlockables that you're spending your like in-game currency stuff on. But I still hadn't unlocked enough, even when I was like, okay, now I've been forced to use this combat style enough that I kind of like it now. I know what I'm doing. But still, so it's the game's even forcing me to like it more in playing it different ways, which I feel like is pretty good game design too.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's very, I don't know. It's got a lot of charm to it, I would say, this Yakuza. It seems like all of the Yakuza games, but I'm just playing 0, and that's all I've played. But
same.
I'm having a great time.
But yeah, they're kind of masterpieces. Like
it seems like it.
It's bonkers how good they are at so many things.
Yeah. And it's just like I don't know, just like the fuck around of it all, and just like it's not like a too big of a map, at least in Zero. But there's still so many different things to do, and like I said, that's just the things that are labeled on the map. But a lot of times these side stories, maybe I'm not paying enough attention, but they just start happening, and then it's like you could choose to go off on this little side juncture if you want, and then that ends up being worth your time every time for me. So I just do that.
And I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure that most of like the mainline like Kiryu Yakuza games all take place in Kamurocho. So it's the same map every game.
Oh, that's so cool.
But it's just throughout the years because this is the prequel, so it's back in the 80s.
Amazing.
Yeah, so like once you learn this, cool. Like it's like, oh, this is the familiar back alley where like the restaurants are, or this is where the main store is, and it's like, it's great.
That's pretty cool.
Amazing.
That's pretty cool. Like I could see it going both ways and like feeling like, oh, it's kind of cheap. It's the same map, but like especially being able to just dive into the whole series now that it's already out. You're not like. Getting it's kind of the same thing I already played last time around. It's like that seems like it'd be really cool to like compare and contrast the differences.
No, the map is its own, the town is its own character, I would say. So like to know that this is happening as like a through line, let alone Kiryu and probably other characters too as a through line, that's incredible.
Which is why I like want to play through the Kiryu titles so that I can play the ones with like, I don't know, the new main character who's been in the past couple games. But like I know that there's, different contexts and different stories, and they do a lot of different things while also being that core gameplay of what if you just could spend 100 hours playing like mini games.
Yes, which I'm going to do. I'm going to like fuck around until I master all of the mini games. I'm pretty sure. Like there's a UFO catcher. I've gotten pretty good at that. I did get into the arcade. I was hoping that like by being good at Space Harrier that would have done something for me, but it doesn't seem like it's giving me anything yet.
I mean, it makes you better at Space Harrier.
It does. Yes, it does.
Exactly.
But we've gone full circle and we're back to on rails.
Yes,
that's amazing.
Sega game.
This is one of my real themes of my video game soul right here. Rail shooters.
That's amazing.
And fucking around, if we're being honest. Yeah.
With Yakuza though, too, it almost feels like Sega was able to like let loose a little bit more. Like once they didn't have to worry about like making consoles and stuff, and they're just like, hey, you know what? Let's just let loose and like. Cause not just with Yakuza, like it feels like they've just kind of let themselves like fly a little bit ever since they had to stop worrying about making consoles and just make games. Like not that they're all winners, like obviously the Sonic games, there's been a bunch of duds over the years, but like it feels like they're like a company that's willing to kind of go out on a limb with a AAA title that most companies aren't willing to do anymore.
Yes,
it's
especially
even Nintendo, modern. Even companies that I love.
Yes.
And Nintendo will do it like kinda, but like not in the same way.
Yeah,
not in the same way. Like Sega will just take like a wild fucking swing.
Yes,
and it might miss, but like even if it misses, you're kind of just like. But I can't believe they tried that, or something. Like it's cool.
And let's give them some due credit. They've always been able to be weird, but especially since I would say the Dreamcast era, and for them to keep that spirit despite that being a quote unquote commercial failure. Yeah, I just really appreciate
it's almost
that.
like they carried on that spirit from that era and just into now, which is cool.
Yes, thank goodness. We need that.
Agreed. I'm definitely like, as someone who never grew up with Sega systems other than we had a Dreamcast at some point in time, but like I never grew up with like a Genesis or anything, but I'm slowly like veering a little more to like, I still love my Nintendo stuff, but I'm growing to appreciate the Sega stuff a lot more over the years. So
yeah, I'm just appreciating it more, even as someone that grew up with it. Just this being different, willing to be different and take their own risks.
Yeah, they have a certain energy to them for sure.
Yes, yes, that's all I need to say though, because I'm gonna. I mean, we're early days still with Yakuza 0. I mean, I'm gonna probably bring it up a few more times. Let's be real.
Hell yeah!
Heck, man, I'm excited to hear honestly more about any of the games you mentioned. Like, all those. I'm happy to hear you talking about more of any of those. So.
Those will keep getting played. I like all of them for different reasons.
Nice. Well, Yeah, I don't know. Anything else we want to gab about before we wrap things up for the evening, guys?
No, sir.
Nada.
Nice. Well, yeah, as always, you can find us on the internet at pursuingpixels.com and pretty much everywhere else on the internet. Just look up Pursuing Pixels, and you can probably find us there. And, otherwise, until next week, we will catch you guys then, and take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
So we'll start with a little Disgaea, then a little Metroid,
and we'll start
then
with
a little Randall.
Gaia, then go over to Disgaea.
Gaia.
Kill me now.
Hold on, I was going to look up.
That was actually hilarious, to be honest.